How did Grand Trine really get started? It goes back, I guess, to 1990. And at that time, I was studying many different spiritual systems, more or less as a hobby, I guess. And early in that year, I was involved in an accident. It was a natural gas explosion. And it occurred that night, and basically there was an explosion that wiped out a part of an apartment building, and it destroyed my apartment. And at that time, I was out. And while I was out, I saw things. Let's just say that I had like an epiphany. I don't know really how to describe it. I didn't go into the light or have a near-death experience, at least I don't think so. But I did have an experience that was somewhat unusual in that I just saw things that were very important. I saw the fact that many of this knowledge in indigenous cultures around the world was very valuable, and that there was going to come a time when we were really going to need this information. And I was urged to make the effort to go out and try to reclaim some of it. Basically, my mission was to contact certain people. These people were shaman, guru, swamis, kamfo, midwives, healers, elders, medicine men, etc. People who, our society today really sort of look at as like on the fringe, and they're a little out there, and we don't really necessarily understand them. They're sort of cast in this new age occult category, and we're not really trying to embrace that. But I discovered that they had a lot of good things to share, a lot of good information that was gradually being lost. If we really stop and think about it, as modern civilization has spread around the world, indigenous cultures are endangered, just like we have certain species are endangered. And the information that they've kept for centuries really is in danger of being lost to the world. And some of that information is not just important, I think it's critical. So for 7 years, that's what I did. I contacted a number of people, and I spent sometimes a very short amount of time, sometimes a longer amount of time, talking to them and writing down what they told me. During that time, what I began to notice is that many of the things I had learned about philosophical Tantra in the 80s, I saw people doing it, but they didn't call it Tantra. And it was one of those things where I was like, wait a minute, people aren't supposed to be able to do that. It was that National Geographic moment where you're like, I just saw him do X, Y, and Z, and that looks kind of miraculous. And they would be like, she would say, well, no, we do that all the time. That's just natural. You just have to learn how. And that's what happened. And after a while, it was like, I saw the remnants of 4 tantric systems spread around the world. And each person doing it was doing some part of it. They didn't necessarily call it Tantra, but that's what they were doing. So I took those 4 systems and I studied them, and I, tried to perfect them, tried to get to the origins, to their original version of it. And that was really the beginning of what became later Grand Trine.